tiny bit of mustard to my oil and vinegar mixture and shake again. This time the mixture will be much more stable. There is something in mustard that turns oil and vinegar into better friends, or at least forces them to stay together for longer. This molecule is a phospholipid. Soon you will be able to understand what it is and how it does the trick. The same trick is what allows lipids digestion and transport inside our body. Phospholipids are abundant in foods such as soy, wheat germ, peanuts, egg yolks, beans, organ meat, but this is not so important because they are nutritionally non-essential. We can build them ourselves, so we don't need to worry about getting enough of them from food. This particular molecule is lecithin, the most abundant phospholipid in food. As you can see, a phospholipid is structurally similar to a triglyceride. It still has a glycerol backbone, but this time only 2 of its carbons are involved in covalent bonds with fatty acids. The third carbon of glycerol instead is bound to a phosphorus-containing compound. The presence of the phosphoric group gives a unique property to these molecules, which makes them very important in food as well as our body. Phospholipids are amphipathic. The tail, where they have fatty acids, is hydrophobic. It doesn't like water. It's insoluble because it's nonpolar, but the head, where they have phosphorus, is hydrophilic. It likes water because it's polar. So many times the way phospholipids are depicted is sort of like this: a polar head, which is a phosphorus-containing part, which likes water, and then the tail with the 2 fatty acids that is hydrophobic. If we throw a bunch of phospholipids in a mixture of oil and water, they will arrange themselves in a way that all the polar heads will face the water layer and all the non-polar tails will be towards the lipid layer. If we throw our phospholipids in a watery solution, they will arrange themselves to form sort of a sphere called a micelle, with all the polar heads on the surface facing water and all the hydrophobic tails inside away from water. Let's now go back to our oil and vinegar mixture. When we shake it, oil is split in many tiny little droplets dispersed in water. Phospholipids will arrange themselves around each of these droplets, forming a sort of a coat with all the polar heads facing outside. These micelles will now keep the little droplets suspended in water, thus preventing separation of lipid and water mixtures. We have created an emulsion. The food industry often uses phospholipids as emulsifiers, for example to make salad dressings, margarine, sauces, ice creams, mayonnaise, and many other products. When you make mayonnaise at home, it's naturally occurring lecithin in the egg yolk that does the trick. But this property of phospholipids goes much further than just doing the oil and vinegar trick. In our body, this is what makes it possible to digest, absorb, and transport lipids. To be digested and absorbed, dietary lipids need to be emulsified in our GI tract, and as we will soon learn, phospholipids in our bile do just that with the help of bile salts. After absorption, to be transported in our bloodstream, lipids need to be packaged into special structures called lipoproteins, sort of big micelles with other lipids such as triglycerides and cholesterol in the inside, coated with proteins and phospholipids with all their polar heads facing the watery bloodstream. If all this wasn't enough, phospholipids are also the key components of cell membranes. The double layer that surrounds all of our cells is made primarily of phospholipids. The extracellular space and the inside of the cells are all water-based. So the 2 layers of phospholipids are arranged to form the cell membrane in a way that their polar heads face outwards. One, the interstitial liquid outside of the cell, one, the cytoplasm inside the cell. The 2 hydrophobic tails will face each other, creating a hydrophobic barrier that prevents molecules from going in and out the cell the way they want, so that their passage can be strictly regulated. A final word is for the role of lecithin in controlling blood cholesterol levels. Lecithin is necessary for reverse cholesterol transport, the task accomplished by high-density lipoproteins that clear extra cholesterol from the bloodstream and bring it back to the liver to be disposed of. In particular, lecithin is required for the reaction of cholesterol esterification performed by the enzyme lecithin cholesterol acyltransferase, which is located on HDL stem cells, and that is required before cholesterol can be uploaded to the HDL particle. For this reason, lecithin lowers blood cholesterol when it is too high and improves the HDL to LDL ratio. We are soon going to learn more in detail why this is extremely advantageous. Like any phospholipid, lecithin is not nutritionally essential. Our liver can build it on its own, starting from inositol and choline, two semi-essential B vitamins, with the help of vitamin B6 and magnesium as its cofactors. However, the amount produced in our liver is only enough to cover the needs for cell membranes growth. If we wish to exploit its cholesterol-lowering properties, we need more, and we need to get it from diet. The richest dietary source of lecithin is soy, which contains it in its lipidic fraction, so soy oil contains a lot of it. Soy lecithin is also sold separately as a food supplement. Another rich source of lecithin is the egg yolk.